And while I have you here, can we get some updates on some of these cases that you guys are currently fighting in court? I know that you've just had a victory in New Jersey, and you just filed a brand new case in Maryland, right? Let's start with New Jersey.
Yeah, that's this week alone. In New Jersey, of course, we had a temporary restraining order filed that we won in New Jersey. Now it became a preliminary injunction, knocking out a lot of the things they put in place in New Jersey for where you can carry your firearm and other things with various laws trying to discourage gun ownership and gun use for self-defense in New Jersey. And so
that judge also upheld some of the permitting requirements that New Jersey added in after the Bruen case. Were you guys disappointed in that result, or how do you feel about that case overall? You still view it as a significant win?
It's definitely a significant win. I'm not sure you say the judge really upheld it. The judge wouldn't just give a preliminary injunction against certain things in there. And this turned out to be a consolidated case on the appeals level. So some of those issues we didn't necessarily raise in our complaint to start with, which makes it a little confusing to do who won what. But it's good. The state had already filed notice of appeal of it. And so they'll be appealing it and we move out the appeals court. And we want it moved up as quickly as possible because we really want to get one of these cases to the United States Supreme Court to smack down a lot of these so-called invasions of gun rights in a number of states like, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Washington, Oregon. And so we want to get a case to the Supreme Court, and the quicker these move, the better for gun ownership and gun rights.
Yeah, and it sounds like the court wants one of these Bruen response law cases to get up there fairly quick, or at least they want to see the Second Circuit rule on these cases pretty quick. That was apparent in what Alito and Thomas said when they denied an emergency injunction in the New York Antioch case. But so part of what was enjoined in this New Jersey case, though, were these expansive new gun-free zones, effectively, and the sort of flipping of preemption on where you can carry a gun on private property. That the way it's always been is that you could carry somewhere like a store, it's something that's publicly accessible private property, as long as the owner didn't post a sign or otherwise tell you that you can't carry there. Now you've seen in New York and New Jersey and elsewhere this flipping of that assumption so that you can't carry unless the store owner says you can somehow gets that point across to you by posting a sign or some other mechanism. And these were blocked, right, in the New Jersey case. But despite that, and they've been blocked before or at least ruled unconstitutional or likely unconstitutional, I guess, in the way these lower courts, operate. And I know for average people, it can be kind of confusing, but they're usually ruling on whether it's likely to be unconstitutional because you're at the early stage of a case. But the bottom line, these provisions have been blocked by several federal courts at this point, even though they might remain in effect in New York because of stays that have been put in. The rulings have been bad for those governments, those state governments. And here comes Maryland just this week and says, well, we're going to do the same thing anyway. And what has been your guys' response to that?
Well, as soon as the governor signed it into law, the same day we filed the suit in federal court, which was just filed. The state hasn't even got to answer it yet, the complaint yet. But again, it's going to fall in line over time. It's going to be a win again for gun rights. When Bruen decision got handed down, Stephen, what I expected was we'd see places like New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Illinois come up and pass new laws that were slightly less restrictive than what got struck down, to try and figure out how they can niche it in and still be anti-gun and get away with as much as they can in denying gun rights. But they didn't do that. They all sort of doubled down and put in laws that were even more extreme than what got knocked out. That may be a blessing for us in disguise, because now that's totally indefensible on their part.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem to be how things have gone in the aftermath of Bruen. I think one of the quotes, I believe it was from you. We just published this piece at the Reload before I came on here to interview you, but it talks about how it's actually harder to carry a gun legally in Maryland now than it was before the old law was struck down by Bruen.
That's correct. There's less places you could legally carry it. My great example, I love it in going from New Jersey to New York. In New York, they made like Times Square area, without defining what that area is, a gun-free zone. And so then you can't, have a gun there. You can't carry a gun, even if you're licensed to do so. Well, now what's happened is you've had businesses in the Times Square area where it wasn't even carrying, on your person concealed outside to protect yourself. You had the gun with a permit in your own store to operation to protect your property and your life in your store. And those permits now are being rescinded because they're saying it's a gun-free zone, and now you can't have your gun even in your own store because Times Square is a gun-free zone. So people that even were issued premises permits in New York are now losing those permits under this new law, which is more restrictive than what was there before.
Yeah, and then Judge Bum in New Jersey, in the New Jersey case, mentioned that many of the plaintiffs in that case had previously been able to carry a gun and then had stopped doing so because of all the new restrictions, because there are not a lot of places you can legally take a gun. And I think, unfortunately, Maryland is basically in that same boat as soon as their law takes effect in October. Now, the NRA has filed a suit alongside their Maryland affiliate that's similar to the suit that you guys have filed with the Firearms Policy Coalition and Maryland Shall Issue. So do you know of any differences between the two? Do you think they're going to get combined into one case? How do you see this going?
Well, the NRA suit is a little broader than ours. We narrow ours a little bit because we want to make sure we win at the preliminary injunction or TRO levels. They made theirs a bit broader, which makes it a little harder to win at that level. I think that we got to assign different judges for each case. I'm sure the state of Maryland is going to move to combine the two cases together, and I'm sure they'll get combined because economy of scale for the state. The courts are going to rule that way. So I assume we'll be going up together for the whole argument.
Okay, interesting. And you're optimistic?
I'm not that optimistic on the trial court level because the judge I think that's going to end up getting it is not necessarily anywhere near a supporter of gun rights, or being fair on the issue. But as it gets up to the appeals level, and again, one of these cases are going to get to the Supreme Court, and we're going to win at that level and take care of the whole problem in all these states that are infringed on gun rights.